Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Rani Arul, a pediatric hemato-oncology fellow from Srihar. My guides are Dr. Julius Scott and Dr. Dharani. So today we are discussing a rare cause of multiple osteolytic lesion in an adolescent boy. So this is a 17-year-old boy who is a known case of Fanconi anemia. He was symptomatic since 2014. In 2018, he was evaluated for short stature and hypocellular marrow and had high frequency of chromosomal breakage, hence was diagnosed to have Fanconi's anemia. He required intermittent PRBC transfusions and was referred here for bone marrow transplant. So at presentation, he presented with a high-grade fever and cough for 1 week. He also had history of loss of appetite and loss of weight. So there were no significant past and family history. So at examination, he had 1 or 2 degrees temperature and he was tachypnic. His weight and height were well below the third centile. On general examination, he had significant pallor and icterus and also had generalized hyperpigmentation. He was noted to have a left chest wall diffuse tender swelling at the level of the second costochondral junction. So on respiratory system examination, there was tachypnea, intercostal and subcostal retractions, and saturation was 92% in room air. Other systemic examinations were normal. So initially, in view of respiratory distress, he was admitted in PICU requiring HFNC support and was started on first-line IV antibiotics. But in view of persisting high-grade fever spikes and features of septic shock, they were escalated to meropenem and teicoplanin. The COVID was negative during admission. Showed severe and thrombocytopenia. His total and direct bilirubin were also elevated. So the first initial chest X-ray showed a right upper lobe consolidation. So currently at this point, the working diagnosis was he was a known case of Fanconi anemia with right upper lobe necrotizing pneumonia and sepsis with suspected left chest wall cellulitis. So based on these 3 points, summarizing, the differentials were either an infective etiology or malignancy. So an infection, it could be either multifocal osteomyelitis, tuberculosis, or a fungal infection. And in malignancy, it could be leukemia, lymphoma, or Langerhans histiocytosis. He was hence discussed in a multidisciplinary meet and planned to undergo bone marrow examination, FNAC, PET-CT, and bacterial TB and fungal workup. So the chest CT was done, which showed well-defined heterogeneous soft tissue density in the apical segment of the right upper lobe. He also had a lytic lesion with surrounding edema in the left second rib. There were multiple osteolytic lesions noted in the left 6th and 10th ribs and the right 4th and the T9 vertebra. So due to this, we did an FNAC from the osteolytic lesion. This showed an ill-defined epithelioid granuloma with multinucleated giant cells. And these were negative for malignant cells of granulomatous inflammation. So the workup for bacterial, AFP, and fungal were all negative. So we also did a bone marrow aspiration and biopsy, which showed hypocellular marrow with suppressed trilineage hematopoiesis, but there were no blasts. So we did an extensive microbiological workup for tuberculosis, including GeneXpert, MAN2, and bone marrow AFP and GeneXpert, which were all negative. And the blood and the bone marrow culture showed no growth. So he was on meropenem and teicoplanin and IV amphotericin and showed gradual improvement. He was off inotropes and respiratory support. But however, he had high-grade fever spikes. So in view of this, done to analyze the disease extent, which showed multiple osteolytic lesions of the axial bones, and the osteolytic lesion with soft tissue component was seen in the second rib. There was also an FDG avid consolidation in the apical segment of the right upper lobe. Again, leading us to the dilemma of infection. Bone biopsy was done from the second left rib lytic lesion, which revealed predominant necrosis and ill-defined focal granuloma. Histiocytic markers were done, which were negative, hence ruling out LCH. So the stains for AFB, fungus, bacteria, including the GeneXpert, all again turned out to be negative. So despite repeated attempts at identifying an infective etiology, he had persistent high-grade fever spikes. Hence, he was discussed in multidisciplinary meeting and was planned to start on empirical ATT. Despite the needed modifications was done for hepatotoxicity, and the ATTs were sequentially reintroduced along with serial LFT monitoring as per protocol. So after 6 weeks of the biopsy, the LJ medium grew Mycobacterium tuberculosis, finally giving us the answer to our extensive evaluation. So on further confirmation, the Mycobacterial isolate was positive for 16S RNA, hence conforming as Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So finally, he was a case of Fanconi anemia with right upper lobe necrotizing pneumonia and multiple osteolytic lesions of the axial bones, which was disseminated mycobacterial tuberculosis. So his fever settled after 16 days of starting ATT, and at review at 4 weeks, he had a complete resolution of the chest X-ray. The upper lobe pneumonia had been completely resolved. He also started gaining weight. So going on with the discussion, so Fanconi anemia is an autosomal recessive disorder, which is the most common aplastic anemia, which presents with dysmorphism and thumb anomalies. They have an increased chromosomal breakage, which predisposes to leukemia, most commonly AML. So going ahead with the immunological effect in Fanconi's anemia, beyond the neutropenia, they also have other defects like low B cell function, profound NK cell dysfunction, low CD4 plus T cell function, and immunological levels remain variable. So talking about the differentials of the multiple osteolytic lesions, they are broadly categorized into infections, malignancies, and chronic recurrent multifocal osteomyelitis. So from the literature review, these are few rare infective causes of multiple osteolytic lesions. And as you can see, most of them are fungal causes. So now going ahead with our topic, which is the multifocal, the tuberculous cause of multiple osteolytic lesions. So these are relatively rare in children. They are less than 1% of all the tuberculous lesions. And the primary lung lesions usually are not demonstrated in 50% of the cases. So there's another case report, which is again emphasizing the point that the diagnosis is generally delayed in such cases because of the rarity and atypical presentation and difficulty in microbiological confirmation. So this is another case of multifocal musculoskeletal tuberculosis mimicking multiple bone metastasis. And they load musculoskeletal TB, the possibility of detecting mycobacterium reduces to less than 50%. Hence, multiple biopsies are generally recommended.
Thank you.
Okay, so going to the important point of our discussion, is TB common in PHO? So tuberculosis in pediatric oncology and bone marrow transplant patients, this was an analysis which was done from St. Jude's Hospital. This was done over a period of 20 years, where they found only 6 children with malignancies who were in the pediatric oncology and the bone marrow transplant patients. And these 6 children had a higher risk of fatal diseases. So due to its rarity, routine screening was not a common practice despite being an endemic region. So showing a similar case from India, this was done from CMC Vellore, where 2.3% of the transplant patients only developed tuberculosis, and most of them were a disseminated form of TB or an extrapulmonary TB. So the take-home message is, although rare, the multifocal lytic bone TB is possible in children, particularly an immunocompromised host, and repeated sampling or testing by various methods as much as possible is required to come to a final diagnosis. Hence, I finished by saying old is always gold, as the culture has been the only clue to our diagnosis.